So, hello again everybody, and for my second recipe we're going to have some soup which will go with the army bread that we made yesterday. So first of all, we need a good sharp knife. Now, the Romans didn't eat a lot of meat, and that's because it's expensive. The main time they'd have eaten meat was after a sacrifice, but because we haven't had a sacrifice, we haven't got any meat. So what we're going to be using is, we've got some pearl barley here, we've got some lentils, hope we can see those, we've got a leek, we've got dill for flavouring, we've got some savoury, another herb for flavouring, and we've got some stock, a bit of salt and pepper as well. So what we're going to start off with is we're going to trim this leek. And it seems a shame to lose all that flag at the top there, but still there we are. I was quite fond of leeks, so this all looks pretty good. So what we're going to do is we're going to trim this. That's why we needed the knife and sharp. So just imagine you're in a Roman army camp, and you're the specialist cook. You're going to be one of the people that everybody's going to be pretty keen on being friends with, because you've got the great capacity to improve somebody's life or indeed make it worse. So we've got a nicely trimmed leek there, a couple of mucky bits didn't quite trim off, so we'll just pitch those out. So those are going to go into our cook pot, and they're going to go in. It's quite a simple recipe, this. They're going to go in there with the pearl barley, which is a good staple of Roman cooking. Sometimes barley is cooked like this, sometimes it's milled for making bread. It doesn't make great bread, it's quite tough because there's no gluten to speak of in barley. So we've got our pearl barley in there. We're also going to put our lentils in here. In this case we've got green lentils, and we're going to bob in the savoury, and we're also going to move that out of the way. We're also going to chop this dill. Now the Romans are again quite fond of dill. They're quite fond of quite strong flavours altogether. This recipe is relatively unusual in that it doesn't have garum or liquamen, which is the famous very strongly flavoured fish sauce. Nothing quite like it available these days. Maybe think Worcester sauce or nam pla from Vietnamese cooking, and a little bit of salt, pepper, Romans love pepper, and our stock. So this is just vegetable stock. We've got about a litre of that, so we're going to sling that in there. It's possible we might need a bit more of this in due course, we'll see how we go. But all this is going to go on the top. Hope we can see all that. Perhaps not, but we'll maybe have a look at that later. So that's all going to stew up, and we're going to leave that for about 30 minutes and then come back and have a look for it. Okay? Okay, so the recipe for this soup comes from the writer Galen, who was also a medical writer, and it's quoted in another medical writer called Oribasius, about whom I know absolutely nothing. Anyway, this is what the official recipe says. There's an excellent dish which is called lentil and barley soup, where barley and lentils are added not in equal quantities, slightly less barley, since barley would thicken the cooking and also gain a great deal in weight. Seasoning is of course the same for this food as for pearl barley, except when savoury or pennyroyal have been put in as an addition, it becomes more pleasant and easier to digest, whilst pearl barley is unsustainable with these seasonings and suffices with just dill and leeks. So there you have it. Galen approves of it, so it must be good. So for the final part of the process, we've got our Roman army bread from yesterday, or at least the half of it that I didn't eat for breakfast this morning, so I'm going to divide that up. As you can see, we've got a nice texture on that, so 2 bits each. That's going to be dipped into the soup, and then we've got our soup here, which has now softened everything up. Looks like we could have quite a feast of this here. So you can see we're going into the soup bowl, so we've got the lentils and the pearl barley and the leeks, and that's good filling soup. Could be a real stomach filler for a Roman soldier on a dark and cold winter day. But actually it's the middle of May and it's boiling hot outside, so I reckon we're going to be properly hot after this. Never mind, looking forward to this because I am now seriously hungry. So there we have it, 2 bowls of steaming soup as recommended by Galen, and we've got a healthy helping of spelt and rye bread. So hope you enjoyed all that, and look out for future videos.